Hello, Dr. Robello. I'm Michael Lopez, and I, along with John Artman, will be presenting B3, the Lean Turnaround, how business leaders use lean principles to create value and transform their company. Let's begin. Here we have an agenda for what we will be covering in today's presentation, including an introduction to the author and his management principles, tack time, one-piece flow, standard work, a pull system, and value stream. These are the topics that I myself will be presenting. In the latter half of the presentation, John will be presenting the topics you see on the right-hand side of the page, including leading from the Gemba, lean leadership, lean accounting, marketplace advantages, capitalizing on lean, and lean everywhere. Let's start. A brief introduction. The Lean Turnaround was written by the famous lean thinker Art Byrne, and it was published in 2012. In this book, Art shares everything he has learned throughout his career and how readers can hope to achieve similar results. In the book, he explains all the ins and outs of lean. Lean is not just a manufacturing thing. He really tries to drive this point home, saying that it can be implemented in everything from healthcare to management to manufacturing. He shows us how to eliminate waste and value-added ops, deliver consistent quality to our customers, build company culture of continuous improvement. Who exactly is the author, Art Byrne? Well, the famous lean thinker has implemented lean in over 30 countries. He's been indicted into the Manufacturing Hall of Fame. Originally, he began his journey as a GM at GE. After that, he helped to launch lean at Danaher, where he really saw major results. He was then the Wiremold CEO, where he grew enterprise value by over 2,000%, boosted sales from $100 million to $400 million, and improved productivity by 162%. Those are really some impressive results. Currently, he is the operating partner at J.W. Childs & Associates. First, he introduces 3 management principles which all managers must try to implement if they hope to be experts in lean. First, he tells us that lean is the strategy. We really need to focus on processes, not immediate results. He also shows us that lean is a time-based growth strategy. Better value adding is equivalent to new strategic options. Improving your value-adding activities is the foundational core of your strategy. Next, we must lead from the top. We must realize that people are resistant to change. If we all of a sudden start to implement lean out of nowhere, people are going to be resistant and taken back. We need to lead by example and learn by doing. Commit to becoming a lean expert. The leader is the key. Finally, we must transform the people, as they are truly our only asset that appreciates. We must respect them as they bring the best ideas to our culture and our company, and we hope to create a healthy learning environment. Lean continuous improvement is equal to culture. He introduces a few topics which are very useful in lean, the first being tack time. It is the rate at which products or services should be produced to meet customer demand, and as we see here, it is the available work time divided by the customer demand rate. Takt comes from a German musical term meaning beat. We can think of it as the heartbeat of our organization. It keeps everyone's attention focused where it needs to be, the customer. Through takt time, we can help achieve a steady continuous production flow, eliminate waste from overproduction and scrapping, and help to balance tasks in a work cell. The main goal of takt time is to get the cycle time to match the takt time. This will be responding to customer demand in the way that has least waste. As we can see in this chart, we see one of our operation cycle time is clearly higher than the takt time, which serves as our bottleneck. In this example, we could implement the theory of constraints and possibly shift around some of the work among the operators, or you implement the drum buffer rope method. In the next slide, he introduces one-piece flow. This is the process where all of our operations are placed into a sequential flow. Every piece of work in progress moves from one step to the next until it is completed. It is easier to reduce throughput time, easier to determine cost, material content, labor, floor space, and disposables. It is also easier to detect any bottlenecks or defects in our process. Because of this, we can observe the entire process visually and on spot. For example, an operator working slower than others. It is also easier to detect defects as they can be narrowed down since our assembly will not travel through multiple hands and multiple departments all around a plant. We see an example of one-piece flow versus batch production. Batch production is where we create goods stage by stage over a series of workstations, and as we can see here, it goes through many different hands and many different parts of a plant. Bad thing in this lean journey. Some disadvantages of batch. Flaws are not immediately recognized. We lose time switching between each batch. We need to keep a large stock of raw goods, which will drive up our inventory. Also, more space will be required for both working and storage. As we can see underneath, one-piece flow is a much smoother and more continuous process. Finally, the last principle he introduces is the concept of standard work. It is the way in which any value-adding job needs to be performed. Everyone needs to perform the job the same exact way. It encompasses the work sequence, tools, equipment, materials, and time. We can use this as the basis of improvement in our lean journey. We can help to know if a process has improved or not. Or else, how can we know if we have improved if we have no standard way of completing a job? It can also help us to ensure productivity and quality. Or else, how can we ensure consistent quality for our customers if we are completing a job in various ways each separate time? Here in this example, we see a concept of standard work. As we see above, we have variations in our process and each job is being completed different every time. Variations in our processes will create issues with quality, which will in turn cost the company costly goods in rework or scrap. Bad for the company. Below we see that standard work, scrap, and rework can be reduced substantially if we are completing a process in the most efficient way, in the exact way, every time. Next, Art introduces the concept of a pull system. In a pull system, customer demands spark activity to make the product. Essentially, it can be boiled down to when you sell one, you make one. If you don't sell one, you don't make one. A good pull system allows the customer to tell us what to make and when, which helps to guarantee us a sale. A pull system can also be implemented in supply chain. We can utilize a Kanban pull system with suppliers. In a Kanban system, we use a visual cue such as a card that tells us when to replenish required parts and goods. Through this, raw material inventory can be reduced, space can be freed for more productive things, and costs will drop. In the book, Art suggests having suppliers deliver daily, up to multiple times a day even. Because of this, as previously mentioned, raw material inventory will drop, space will be freed, costs will go down. Aside of this, labor for inventory management will be reduced, and finance will no longer have to worry about tracking excess inventory. Here we see an example of a push versus a pull system. In a push system, you produce based on forecasting, and we make a lot of things just in case the customer comes to buy something. This can lead to a great deal of inventory and waste. As we see with the pull system, we only produce something when needed it, which leads to small lots, low inventories, and waste production. As we can see, a pull system has many advantages to a push system. The next thing Art covers is that we must implement a value stream organization. He teaches us that to be truly lean, we must need to move away from the traditional organizational structure we have always been taught of. We need to get rid of functional departments and create new teams based on value streams. Value streams are essentially product families. Group value streams together and head by a team leader. The team leader will have all the equipment and people needed to produce our end product. Here we see a chart of why we should use a value stream organization. Now, of course, it will help us achieve the lean strategy. It will help us focus on customer value, create lean thinking, and faster improvement. We will also have better control. Since everyone is involved in every step of the process, employee morale will also go up. As we can see, there are many benefits to implementing a value stream organization as opposed to the traditional. Now I will turn it over to my partner John to finish the rest of the presentation. Thank you.
In the second half of the book, the author focuses on providing a set of tools for transitioning to lean. Top-down leadership is foundational to his approach. Lean should be championed by the CEO and led from the Gemba, which is the area where value-creating work is performed. In a manufacturing environment, this might be the shop floor. In a software development environment, this might be the cubicles or the daily scrum. The important part is that executive leadership, and particularly the CEO leading the lean transition, need to spend time in the Gemba to gain first-hand knowledge of how value is added. They can use this information later to conduct successful Kaizen efforts as they work to remove waste and transition to flow production. Lean transformations should be led from the CEO position, starting with the announcement of the lean transition. The CEO should announce the transition personally. Goals and expectations should be explained, and example accomplishments from other organizations can be used to help sell the idea. Lean emphasizes capitalizing on personnel assets to achieve continuous process improvement, so it's important for everyone to understand that success depends on their commitment and contribution. This announcement should be closely followed by training. Lean practitioners learn by doing, and leading initial Kaizen efforts will teach the CEO while simultaneously demonstrating commitment to lean efforts and setting everyone's expectations. Lean goals should be stretch goals rather than incremental improvements. Stretch goals signify that a whole new approach is required rather than a few small tweaks. Initial Kaizen efforts should be chosen by the CEO with knowledge of what the expected impacts will be. High-impact projects should be targeted to reinforce commitment to lean transformation and counter ideas that this might be just another executive project that will blow over. Typical initial week-long Kaizen results include cut lead time by 90%, reduce staffing from 10 to 5, reduce inventory 70%, reduce floor space 50%, reduce defects 60%, reduce travel distance 90%, and cut lead time by 90%. It's apparent from these numbers that stretch goals are being pursued rather than incremental improvements. Executive leadership is heavily emphasized in this section of the book. By leading the initial Kaizen efforts, the CEO demonstrates his commitment to lean. The CEO also demonstrates the relative priority of Kaizen and lean by dedicating time to Kaizen efforts rather than accepting routine interruptions. Kaizen is a doing exercise. The goal is accomplished improvements rather than a list of action items to be accomplished later. The CEO should continue to develop Kaizen skills and reinforce lean commitment by leading 4 to 6 Kaizen teams per year and encouraging organizational leadership to do the same. This activity will gradually incorporate lean into the organization's culture. The next 2 slides introduce a series of tools used to improve flow. Total productive maintenance emphasizes strict adherence to maintenance schedules to ensure that equipment is available when needed. In the absence of inventory and work in process, having critical equipment offline causes major problems. 5S promotes an orderly work environment. The author provided an example from his time at WireMold, where they created 5S inspection teams that checked team areas every 2 weeks on both the factory floor and the back office to identify 5S problems. Winning teams earned coffee and donuts for a week. Setup reduction improves flow by reducing the time required to switch between tasks. The author provided another example from WireMold, where they standardized die shut heights to reduce setup times. This was a multi-year effort for them, but they took the opportunity to simultaneously improve TPM issues by repairing damaged or worn dies and establishing spare parts inventory for commonly worn tools. One-piece flow cells group activities together that are required to support a particular process. Loan processing was one of the examples provided. Loans were taking weeks to process in an environment where the offices needing to review them were spread around different areas of a building. When representatives from these offices were all placed in one room and the applications were passed from one to the next, the same review process was completed in minutes. One-piece flow cells are an important component to transitioning from batch to flow. Floor space freed up by inventory reductions and other lean efforts should be reserved for future needs and not allowed to be recluttered. This space is an asset that can be leveraged later. Inventory is the root of all evil. Lean efforts routinely focus on reducing inventory and work in process. As Michael discussed earlier, pull is an important lean component allowing customers to drive production. Kanban replaces material resource planning systems by allowing downstream processes to signal production requirements to upstream processes. The Kanban approach should be spread to customers, transportation providers, production processes, and vendors. Lean leadership requires long-term commitment. Lean is a journey, not a sprint. For Lean to be successful, the CEO needs to transition from a manager to a leader. The CEO's actions should reinforce Lean principles by consistently cheerleading Lean efforts, developing and promoting personnel with Lean experience, demonstrating willingness to try new approaches, particularly those that come out of Kaizen, and maintaining the Lean focus by minimizing negativity. As a Lean CEO, it will be necessary to remove personnel who cannot support Lean. Fiefdoms that misalign personnel away from Lean goals need to be broken up, and Lean commitment must be continually reinforced. The next two slides list some tools and methods used in Lean organizations. An experienced Lean practitioner can use the walk of shame to point out where waste is occurring. Our author provided an example from the Vita Root Corporation. While conducting a walk of shame to convince executives that they needed Lean, they discovered raw material, finished goods, and work in process that had been sitting idle for 2 to 4 years. Policy deployment is another tool used to tie projects and resources back to strategic plans so daily activities are aligned with strategic goals. Daily management is used to frequently review value-adding activity metrics to find immediate improvements or countermeasures to improve flow. Leaps of faith reinforce a culture of willingness to try new things and learn from mistakes. And fighting industry lore involves establishing stretch goals that challenge normally accepted truths. Lean conversions highlight latent problems that standard approaches tend to hide. Be prepared for 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. For example, traditional companies tend to run equipment until it breaks. With Lean, these outages cause serious problems by shutting down production in the absence of inventory, so equipment must be maintained. The standard response becomes Lean won't work here, where really the equipment just needs to be fixed and properly kept up. Standard work should be applied to leadership activities as well as production activities. The CEO should set direction and build organizational capability to solve problems at the root cause. The importance of process improvement should be supported through daily Gemba walks and frequent reviews of key performance indicators. Breakthrough opportunities should be identified and stretch goals set to achieve them. Lean leadership takes opportunities to build new Lean leaders so the organization is able to supply personnel for growth. Lean leaders require hands-on experience, so it's important to identify management track personnel and provide them with opportunities to gain hands-on Lean experience. The CEO needs to be focused on understanding the value-add activities in the Gemba and removing activities that do not add value. And finally, high-level data tracking should be used to indicate organizational progress toward goals. People respond to what is measured. Lean implementation involves significant change. It cannot be simply layered on top of existing systems and processes. Standard cost accounting is one such system that is incompatible with Lean. Successful Lean organizations transition to Lean accounting. Some of the problems with standard cost accounting include inventory is encouraged when it's the root of all evil. Management is distracted with production goals rather than focused on customer wants. And standard cost accounting is inaccurate. CEOs cannot make good decisions based on bad information. Lean accounting supports Lean by providing better insight into where waste is occurring, being less expensive to produce, and providing accurate information. Lean accounting does not violate generally accepted accounting principles and is not incompatible with auditing principles. It's important to keep in mind that some past sins will follow for a while after switching to Lean accounting. Focus on cash flow and inventory turns. Lean produces several marketplace advantages. Lean organizations typically differentiate themselves based on best value rather than lowest cost. Lean's customer focus enables this through customer-centric product development and quality function deployment. QFD incorporates the needs of the end user at the design stage. By doing this, it enables innovations that save time and labor with the end product. Since the product is superior, it can be priced based on value rather than cost plus. At WireMold, QFD cut product development costs 50 to 75% and increased their development rate from 2 to 3 new products per year to 2 to 3 new products per month. Customers will also come to realize that Lean suppliers reduce their costs. Lean suppliers typically compete based on quicker and better service. VARs and end users prefer to work with these suppliers because it's easier and less expensive in the long run. Beating the competition to market is a significant advantage. Lean shortens development time and cost, making it less expensive to try new products as well as quicker to develop them. Finally, vendors or suppliers also benefit by having lean customers. Lean organizations want frequent deliveries, which reduces the vendor's requirement to store inventory. However, as a result, vendors must become lean to serve their lean customers. The collaboration required to make this work leads to better relationships and greater interdependence. It also results in lower costs and often increased capability. Lean makes money by both reducing cost and increasing business. This produces more money for organizational shareholders. Since Lean is so dependent on committed personnel, they should also be incentivized toward making Lean successful. A profit-sharing program is a great way to do this. To be effective, profit sharing should be simple enough that any employee can understand it. It should also include everyone in the organization, and it should pay out frequently to keep the incentive in front of people's minds. Management incentives are also important because they help attract and retain top talent. Management incentives should emphasize teamwork rather than competition and should be tied to achieving organizational goals. Personnel freed up by Lean gains should be leveraged toward continued Lean successes. Some examples are reducing overtime through the use of additional workers and staffing Kaizen efforts. Acquisitions provide another use for assets freed up by Lean. Extra cash can be used to fund these acquisitions. Spare space can be used to house them. Excess inventory can be sold off to quickly reclaim the investment. Experienced Lean practitioners enter into acquisitions knowing what they are buying. They see the growth potential and have the game plan ready to achieve it. There is little point in studying the acquired organization and its processes when you're going to change them, so time is saved by moving forward with Lean instead. Lean can work in any environment. One of the strengths of this book is that it presents non-manufacturing examples with Lean and really emphasizes that Lean is not tied to manufacturing. The author provides examples from healthcare, life insurance, and retail, where Lean principles of reducing waste, improving flow, and emphasizing value to the customer provide groundbreaking results. So the obvious question becomes, why isn't everyone doing Lean? It takes effort to implement new tools and change organizational culture. Some organizations may also consider Lean to be a manufacturing thing. However, the big issue I see is a lack of leadership. CEOs are comfortable managing from their offices and are able to achieve some success with their more traditional methods. Change is hard, and change to Lean must be led from the top. Without strong, committed, top-down leadership, Lean can't succeed.